Hey, I'm Sarah Gaither with Carolina Pottery. As crafters, we all have this box filled with all sorts of scraps. So today I wanted to show you what can we do with those scraps. So here's one project. We call it a bird bow. So I'm going to reach into my box and I'm going to grab out some scraps, longer pieces of ribbon, shorter pieces of ribbon, some mesh pieces, and then I'm ready to get started. So what we're going to make is something called a bird bow. So what I've done is I just had small pieces of ribbon. They're anywhere from 10 inches to 12 inches. And I went ahead and I cut the edges into what I call a ducktail. And so they have the nice points at the end. Now the reason that we're going to call this a bird bow is because you pinch this in the center, it looks like the little birds that kids draw in art class. And so all we're going to do for this particular bow is we're just going to start layering each piece. So I'm going to pick up a piece and pinch it into my fingers. And I'm just going to keep putting one on top of the other one, turning them around. I haven't twisted, I've done nothing but pinch them and put them in between my thumb and my first finger. And I'm just layering the different pieces of ribbon. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces of ribbon. So then in my scrap box, I had some longer pieces. And they measure about 18 inches, which is what I typically like my tails on a bow to be. And I'm only going to use 2 pieces because that's all I had in my scrap box. And I'm going to, still holding on to my bird bow, I'm going to put the tails on the back of my bow. And then using a piece of floral wire, I'm going to tie it all together. So I'm going to come right over the top, twist the wire on as tight as I can, and then I'm going to start to fluff out my bird bow. So this is a different way. There are no loops, there's no twisting. This is just a great way to add some color, some pop, some flair to your wreath. So let me show you what this looks like when you add it onto a wreath. So I've started here with my grapevine wreath, and this one I added at the top that's just a poof. It didn't have any tails on it. And I'm going to come down to the bottom of my wreath, twist on my bow, and it's just a different take on how to make a bow. The other thing that you can do after you've added your little tuft of ribbon and your bird bow down at the bottom is you might want to use some of your scraps of mesh. This is the 6-inch roll of mesh, and they're cut in about 4 or 5 inches. And I'm just going to roll them up, pinch them in the middle, and then I'm going to add a piece of wire around them. I'm going to come behind my bird bow, and I'm just going to wire it on. So it just adds another pop of color to your wreath. And I would do this on both sides. So it's just another great way to use up some scraps of mesh that you might have lying around from another project. So I'm Sarah Gaither with Carolina Pottery. Thanks for joining us today and learning all the ways to use up those extra scraps.